In recent years, the amount of fur that Switzerland imports has increased, bringing it to levels last recorded 20 years ago. Switzerland now imports around 400,000 kilos of fur every year. It takes about 60 animals to produce a mink coat. Most of the mink skins come from Denmark, one of the largest fur producers in the world. The Danish Fur Producers Association gave Swiss TV permission to film on the farm of Anne Mona Nordgaard. Hers is one of the most modern fur farms in Denmark. The animals here live in bare metal cages with small boxes of straw. As for food, they get a fish and meat mixture. In the wild, a mink would hunt in the water. Fur farmer Anne Mona Nordgaard says they don't need access to the water here.
They use water in wild nature because they are hunting by the water. But here we are giving them the food, so they don't need the water to pleasure or playing or something like that. They don't care.
The cages are small, barely 1 meter long and 30 centimeters wide. But the breeder says the animals don't need more space.
I've just heard here in September that a scientist who has tried this, giving more space for 2 animals. How will they react? Will there be more welfare if they had more space? They are not reacting, of course they're reacting different, but they have not more welfare than if it's a normal size of the cage.
These studies were financed in part by the fur industry. But independent studies have shown that cages are not appropriate for rearing minks. Every year in November, the fur farmer kills and skins her 13,000 animals. First, she needs to decide which animals to keep for breeding purposes. To do this, she inspects their fur.
I'm looking for fat wool. And the thinnest and finest hair, they need to be straight, not crossed like, yeah.
Every April, the females she selects will bear offspring. Once born, the kits will grow up in cages for 7 months. Then, to keep their fur clean and intact, they'll be killed with the exhaust gas of an engine. In Switzerland, it's illegal to keep minks in such conditions, as Kasper Jurger confirms. He's the director of the Department of Animal Protection at the Swiss Federal Food Safety and Veterinary Office.
So eine Haltung ist nicht artgerecht, weil die Tiere können zum Beispiel nicht graben, sie können nicht größere Distanzen ablecken, sie können nicht nach Nahrung suchen. Ein Haufen vom artgerechten Verhalten können sie da nicht ausleben.
In Switzerland, animals are required to have a certain amount of room to move, and the size of the space depends on how many animals there are.
Muss man für die ersten 2 Tiere ein Innenkeg von 8 Quadratmeter haben, plus ein Aussenkeg von 40 Quadratmeter. Das ist hier natürlich überhaupt nicht erfüllt. Und jedes weitere Tier, das in diesem Keg drin ist, muss dann nochmal 1 Quadratmeter Innenkeg haben und 4 Quadratmeter Aussenkeg. Sie müssen Grabmöglichkeiten haben und so weiter. Also so eine Haltung wäre in der Schweiz gar nicht möglich.
While in Denmark, Swiss TV tries to meet other mink farmers without giving advance notice. Although the Danish Fur Industry Association says that all farms are open to visitors, cameras aren't welcome at the first farm. The breeder excuses himself, saying that he needs to go somewhere. Without permission, Swiss TV proceeds to film over the fence. Here, too, thousands of animals in metal cages. At the next farm, Swiss TV meets a farmer ready to talk and allow filming, but only from the outside. His animals have a cold, and he's the only one allowed in, so as not to spread the virus to other farms, he says. Swiss TV visits 3 other farms, but unsuccessfully. No one is ready to open the doors of their operations. The barracks containing the cages can be filmed, but only from the outside. Why the lack of cooperation on the part of the mink farmers? Joe Vinding, campaign manager for the Danish animal protection group Anima, has an explanation. He says that on most farms, the conditions are quite miserable, and as an animal rights activist, you're certainly not welcome on a fur farm.
If you're a friend of animals, then you're probably not that welcome. I've never been welcome to a fur farm whenever I've asked to go, but it's a pseudo-openness. They want to project an image of openness, but in reality you have to call before, and only some people are invited, and they're only invited to see a certain image, not the reality of what goes on. For that, you have to have unexpected visits, and that's how the control of mink farms happens in Denmark.
As for the furs on display in the shop windows, they don't bear any trace of the dreary conditions under which the animals lived and died.